Hello, hello, hola, you beautiful, wonderful beings. Welcome back to Muse, a podcast where we talk about personal growth, creativity, and really different things that spark my interest and where I might be just flowing with topics, because that's what being a creative is really moving and growing, pivoting, evolving in whatever direction really is impacting you and me in this case at any given time. And I think being able to share that with each other is so meaningful. My name is Damaris. I am an artist, creative, really just wanting to express interests in a way that is meaningful to me, and hopefully it is to you as well. Last week we spoke about sparking ideas and how even when you're in limbo, there are ways that you can find these little wonderful sparks of joy and excitement that can bring you back to your creativity. I had mentioned that I was going to be sharing on this episode about creative identity and being multi-passionate. And that is something that I am very much interested in talking about, except that I had another spark. Sometimes the way my brain works is when I'm starting to think or explore different ideas, one idea becomes or kind of grows and attaches to another idea or another concept of another idea, and more like a web, I would say. And because of this and the things that I'm interested in, I have now changed my episode title or concept to what I want to be talking about today, which is more of a reflection and a way of thinking about creating and putting work out there from the standpoint of my podcasting experience. I have been using this platform of podcasting, and I know I've shared it in the past before in other episodes, as an outlet. It won't always be concise. My episodes and the topics that I talk about are not always going to matter to other people as much as they matter to me or are as of much interest to you as they are to me, because the way that I share, which I was kind of talking about earlier, it's through the lens and through my experience of either what I'm going through in the moment, what I've experienced or gone through in the past, and maybe something like I'm sharing today that has sparked a point or a topic that is of interest to me right in this very moment, which is what happened right now. Something sparked that interest, that thought, that concept. I wrote it down and am now recording. So being able to speak freely and share my thoughts and my feelings has brought a huge sense of liberation and of expression that doesn't revolve around an algorithm, trends, or what others are talking about right now, which is difficult sometimes for me because I want to be sharing things that are obviously of interest to others, but also I don't want to be creating for other people. I think my episodes will reach people that need it when they need it, and I've realized that that could be now, it can be in 2 years, it can be in 5 years. When was the last time I created in this way? And I was thinking about that and contemplating that question because I don't think I have very often created for me, for the things that I'm interested in just because I'm interested in talking about it. That concept is so different, I think, and I haven't really heard people, I mean, I've heard some people talk about it, but I think it's different when you're experiencing it and realizing that you don't necessarily create from that place all the time, when I think that is the most impactful place to create from, because that is when you create your best work, when you're not creating for other people. So I'll ask you, when was the last time you have created in that way that isn't for algorithm trends or for other people, that you're just expressing for the sake of expressing? It's interesting to contemplate why you do what you do after you've already started. Like now that I've already started the podcast, this is my 19th episode. This topic, for some reason, has sparked a thought enough that I wanted to share it with you. I was watching another very well-spoken podcaster on YouTube named Anna Howard. She has so many views right now, and the things that she's talking about are so good. I'm really enjoying it and have subscribed. And she mentioned the fact that this podcast that she's creating and where she's sharing was an outlet for her. And she purposefully wanted to take away the knowledge and the standards that she had as a podcast manager. So that's been her job. And to just express and share the way that she wants to share for the sake of creating and expressing what her interests are for her. That she didn't want the formula or these ways that seem linear of how to create a podcast to influence her in sharing on her podcast, which I thought that was so inspiring, because as a podcast manager, you know what will be successful in creating a new podcast or in talking about certain things and putting it out there. So I think that was so powerful, because we don't tend to do that naturally now, living in a world that revolves around, if we share something, how do we share it with others? And we're constantly thinking about, how will this look, or what medium or social media platform should I use to share this and make it into content, versus I'm making it for myself in a way to express myself and share my thoughts and feelings about whatever interests me. And like I said, I've even gotten stuck in this trap of trying to create content or putting out content that will be seen. And the reality is that I think we do this because we want to see growth. We want connection. We want engagement, which is fantastic. I think that is the beauty of the internet. That is the beauty of being able to find and share other people's work that we enjoy as creatives and artists ourselves. And on its own, that is so beautiful. But when we start to create for that growth specifically, for that connection specifically, and that engagement solely, we lose the creativity behind the things that light us up to start with. Because now our mentality has shifted. It's okay to want these things, but there's also a fine balance of wanting that and creating for that. Also, when mentioning growth in the internet, I think this is where we also tend to shift our focus. I think we, including myself, am scared to see growth happen slowly. It's very overwhelming to put in work and have these very big ideas and feel like it's not hitting the way that I thought. That maybe people are not really liking my content or wanting to follow me, or that they don't connect with what I'm sharing. To sit in that discomfort of not growing as quickly as you thought you would is heavy. It's a heavy realization and very uncomfortable. And I'm currently in that reality of not growing quickly, even though I'm sharing and creating and putting work out there through this podcast, through other social media, and now a little book club on my Substack. Things are growing very, very slowly. But they're growing. It's just very slow. But what I have learned through my other businesses and projects I've worked on is that not being quote unquote successful, and successful meaning growth and seeing that people are actually viewing and sharing and acknowledging your work, doesn't mean you won't ever be quote unquote successful. I looked it up actually, and on this one source called Podmatch, it mentions that 90% of podcasters don't make it to their third episode. That's huge. 90%. Like, so many of you out there have maybe tried or thought about or started a podcast and maybe didn't see the traction that you were hoping for and didn't make it to third episode. Like that's hard. That's a hard thing to come to. And I get it. I mean, I've been there. And even less, it says, make it to 20 episodes. And this is my 19th episode, so I feel I'm pretty proud of that. And only about 6.17% make it to 100 episodes. Dang. Like that's so wild to me. To put all this time and effort and the potential of maybe just having a breakthrough. Like you're so close, but you stop making the next episode. That's going to be that breakthrough, but you just don't know. That's so wild to me to be in that. And the thing is that I am in that actual place. It's not easy to keep wanting to put things out there that not a lot of people are viewing or acknowledging. But it's okay. Like, that's why I think it is important to create for you first. Because if you're doing it for the growth, most times trying to make it to 100 episodes with not much traction is difficult. And you probably won't make it to that, which is why these statistics and these numbers are so high of the people that don't make it. Growth isn't true to what lit you up and got you started to want to make a podcast to begin with. That wasn't the reason. You didn't have growth when you first started anyways. And like I mentioned when I spoke about last week on finding your spark and the things that ignite excitement and joy to want to create, I spoke about that being the first step and the instinct that comes, which is outside of creating for others, because it's creating for you. It's igniting you. That is creating for yourself first. You felt you had something to say or express, and I love that feeling. I love having that feeling, following inspiration. I live to be in that feeling. I wish I could stop and record or take notes every time I've had that spark, that feeling, that ignition, that excitement, because it's something that has inspired me to want to make something, which is, like I was mentioning, was what happened when I was watching Anna's video and then was literally at that moment taking notes and was thinking, oh, maybe this could be my next podcast episode, even though it wasn't related to what I said I was going to talk about. But I'm really inspired right now. I'm feeling really excited about this topic and what I'm taking notes on, which is so fascinating how one thought can spark and ignite the need to create something. And it is along the same lines of what Anna was talking about, but truly it's my own perspective and experience of a similar thought or expression that she was having. That to me is the essence of creating, the joy of making and sharing work that is meaningful to you first, not for any other reason but that. And you create from that place. And I do think I will try to create more of these types of episodes. I think this whole experience has inspired me to want to create from this place and maybe more quickly, not think about it so much. When I get that spark, I'm able to extract what has inspired me, put it into words, and then be able to speak from that place without creating something to start with, or creating even when the idea hasn't even been fully flushed out, I think is important though. Because the idea only slowly started forming from watching this video, hearing her perspective and her point of view on the similar thread, I guess, of what my experience is. Although she's way more successful than I am in creating a podcast, I was still able to start somewhere and put my ideas down, even though they weren't fully thought through yet. I had the idea of this podcast, how I wanted it to be, what I wanted to talk about, and the concept of it is still intact, but the ideas and the way that I'm sharing is continuously evolving. And you will evolve through the process, through creating. Learn what your most authentic expression and self is. That is when you can shift and pivot and share more of your journey of figuring out that part and what that means to you. Because for me, that's what it was for the podcast. And this is how it is when it comes to putting ideas together. That is part of the creating. The process is part of that. The learning and the shifting. The more experience of making or creating work, even if you're not sharing it, but you're just creating it, the more you will figure out what is the real you right now in this moment. Without that input of the algorithms, trends, or other people in general. The true you will show itself more and more, and you will filter through your creative process to come to a place to know what your creativity looks like, what your thoughts and feelings are and what's meaningful for you to share with others. And that's just so beautiful to me, that I can show up as my most authentic self more and more. The more I put out episodes, the more I share ideas and start new projects. That's how I learn. That's how you can learn too. And through this experience, I've learned, okay, I want to be doing more episodes like this, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't, one, consume consciously, not just consume for the sake of consuming content and things. I'm consuming with the intention to learn, to grow, to want to take something meaningful out of it. So that's one major aspect and point of the way that I consume things. Two, I would say that I'm trying to be more mindful to take notes of the things that excite me or trigger a thought process and ignite this excitement, or where I find relatability in my own experience. So I wouldn't have done that if I didn't continue to put out these episodes, even if no one's watching them. Like, if I didn't continue to put out work, if I didn't continue to try to create new things and express myself in different ways, I wouldn't be learning these lessons about myself and how doing this more and more is helping me to be more authentic and show up more authentically in the work that I'm doing. Whether or not other people are seeing it, I want to be the most authentic version of myself as much as possible at all times in all the things that I create, which I'm assuming that is something that you all want to be experiencing as well through your creativity. So I hope that this little thought note process can inspire you, can ignite and excite you to continue to create and express yourselves authentically, and really question the way that you are showing up. And when you go and make something and share it, are you going to do it from a place where you're not trying to do it for the algorithm, the trends, or other people, but you're doing it for yourself, because that is what excited and lit you up to begin with. Thanks again for joining me in this episode. I hope you all have an amazing, wonderful rest of your week. We will see you in the next one. And as always, keep creating. Bye.